What is the Matrix? Control. The Matrix is a computer-generated dream world, built to keep us under control in order to change a human being into this.
The feds have been seized by offshore banks. Larry Pratt, they are making their move in Obama's first 200 days. Thank you for joining us. Can you comment on just the overall picture, and then let's get into what's happening with the Second Amendment?
Well, we might be thinking that they're going to move first on legislation, and they might. I'm not quite as sure that, as I was earlier, that they wouldn't want to put their own folks on record voting for gun control, because Obama had, within hours of his inauguration, on the White House website, whitehouse.gov, a call for the renewal of the Clinton gun ban. That's something that I'm still not sure whether he intended just as some raw meat for his base, or whether he actually expects to move in the Congress, putting guys feet to the fire, recorded votes before the next congressional elections, which theoretically, quite possibly, could jeopardize his party's control of the Congress. On the other hand, since he's become president, I've become more aware of just how much of a willingness he has to exhibit his thuggishness, that he is a guy who's rather ignorant of a number of things, but as is the case with many arrogant people, ignorance seems to be quite happily coexisting with the arrogance. So I'm not sure, as I was, that he's not going to move legislatively. But that being said, administratively, he's got a wide open field. He's got an attorney general who's a gun grabber par excellence, Eric Holder. Right now, as I'm sure you've commented on more than once, there's a huge spike in guns and ammo sales. Well, of course, ammo sales don't require any federal paperwork at this time. But what if a dealer manages to get in a bunch of guns that have been back ordered for a long time, which is the back ordering is what's going on for a number of popular calibers, and he can't sell you the gun anyway. Well, why not, you ask? I got my money, you got the gun. What's the problem? Well, I need copies of the 4473 that the government makes me have you fill out so they can register your name, and I'm running out of copies. Well, you say, well, man, that's no problem. Go make some copies on your copy machine. I see it right over there. No, I'm not allowed to do that. I have to only get them from the BATFE, the Bureau of Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives themselves. This is a cute little game that's being played, and dealers from around the country are reporting that they are running out of forms, and that somehow the Bureau just can't seem to manage to get the forms out there in the field. And, of course, you're not allowed to make your own.
Unbelievable. Clever? This is first time I've heard of this. Is this breaking news?
It's been going on it's been building. You know, at first there were a few dealers complaining about it, and now it's becoming a more general complaint. Dealers have even, I know in the state of Maryland, had some meetings about it, but I've had reports from out in the West, everywhere. So this is something that's percolating down there among the gun stores, and I guess it's just such a stupid bureaucratic problem that people can't quite believe.
Well, we know it's on purpose.
Of course.
I had Aaron Zellman on a few days ago, and he said flat out, he thinks Obama's going to stage a mass shooting, or they're going to line some lunatic up to do it. The economy's falling apart. All these top government people are saying they believe there's going to be riots everywhere. The Icelandic government fell. If there are riots breaking out, the answer is more guns, not less. Look at the Koreans in the L.A. riots stopping the rioting in their area when the police stood down. So I just want to get it out there up front. We don't want to see New Orleans, too, but nationwide, where they don't come and give you aid, but the Army comes and takes your guns. Can you speak to that and speak to the fact that they're announcing Northcom and the Army War College are saying 20,000 combat troops to engage the American people, and their new mission is engaging the people?
Well, if they take people's guns when the people are simply doing what they were doing after Katrina, guarding their property, they're going to have a little problem, because the soldiers or the FBI agents or the marshals, whoever it might be, will be individually liable if they are working under, quote, color of law of the federal government. They're going to be personally liable for a lawsuit. This is a measure that was enacted into law thanks to Louisiana Senator David Vitter and then Representative Bobby Jindal, now the governor of Louisiana. And it says not only would the law enforcement official be personally liable for legal expenses his department couldn't pay what could easily be tens of thousands of dollars to defend him, but if there were a monetary settlement, because this would be a civil complaint, it's not a criminal charge, but if there were a monetary settlement, it'd be his house on the block. It would be his retirement on the block. It couldn't come out.
But under PDD 51, the John Warner Defense Authorization Act, and others, it says if the president says all the laws are suspended, Congress can't even be involved. Now, that's obviously unconstitutional, but Northcom doesn't care. I mean, we are heading towards a constitutional crisis.
Well, it would take us right back to the kind of government we had under Abraham Lincoln, who also had a similar disregard for the Constitution. He was arresting members of state legislatures, tried to arrest members of the Supreme Court of the state of Maryland, literally exiled a member of Congress, Van Landingham, from Ohio, who didn't agree with him. This was a guy who just rode roughshod over the Constitution at the very time when the protections of the Constitution are most needed during a crisis. That's, of course, when tyrants say, oh, well, we have to be given absolute powers. I've taunted anti-gunners in the past when they were for violating privacy, when they wanted to make it easier to get convictions, when they wanted to do a number of things like that. I said, well, why don't you just get rid of all the Bill of Rights? Wouldn't that make government much more efficient? And at least at that time, 2-3 years ago, it kind of embarrassed them. But from what you're saying with this kind of a presidential directive, they're past being embarrassed.
Does it give you a ray of sunshine to know that upwards of 10 states are moving to declare sovereignty, and in the bills, they're saying things like, we're not going along with your martial law, we're not going along with gun confiscation, we're not going along with national compulsory service?
These are good first steps. They need to be obviously made a lot more specific, have teeth put in them. They need to state, as the pre-war between the states laws did, making it a null law, the fugitive slave law, so that if somebody a federal marshal tried to enforce fugitive slave law, arrested a slave, say in Illinois, the laws there said, you're guilty of kidnap. You just broke the law. You can't enforce that law. That law's null and void here. Now, when we get legislatures and governors to that point, then they will be tangibly moving to protect the liberties of the people. The Montana legislature had something somewhat of that in mind when they announced before the Supreme Court decision on the D.C. gun ban that, hey, if you flub this one, we're out of here. I can spell out. They said it a little bit more.
Yeah, stay
more
there. Let's come
elegantly.
back and talk about that and talk about solutions so we can circle the wagons and not just defend the Second Amendment, but take ground back that we've lost. Also, we're live at prisonplanet.tv. I was looking on screen. They had Gun Owners of America website up, and I saw an article up there. Billions of dollars for MoveOn.org and Acorn with our tax money to fund gun grabbing.
Do you understand how dark it is? How far down the line we are? How late it is?
Folks, I told you a year ago with Larry Pratt that the gun grabbers were coming, that they were the only real gun organization, that the NRA was actually founded and carries out gun control. He read all their quotes, the documents. And a lot of people thought, oh, Bush is in, everything's fine. And now you're seeing what's happening. Join Gun Owners of America today. Larry, give folks the phone number and the website for people to join or at least get on the free email alerts list so that, we can defend the Second Amendment. Well,
the phone number toll-free is 888-886-GUNS. That's 888-886, and then the letters GUNS. But the easiest way to get to us is the web, gunowners.org. And if you go there, you can get a free subscription to our email alerts, and those enable people to fire off email to their members of Congress. I don't know what we're going to be able to stop, but I can tell you that we know from past that even when they continue to do bad things, we see them backing off, we see them slowing down, we see them putting aside some of their agenda when they realize that they're building opposition. So I would encourage people to take advantage of that, gunowners.org and the email alert. It's a freebie, and that's one of the ways they can really be sure that they're going to be fighting to keep their guns.
Yeah, I mean, I asked people a year ago on show after show, at least go sign up for the free email alert. The NRA is not going to give you these, and I'm not attacking NRA members. We're stating the historical fact. It's a Judas goat.